There's plenty of history to explore this fall and all throughout the year down in the Detroit Historical Museum. Joining us now from the Detroit Historical Museum is Rebecca Salminen-Witt, the Chief Strategy and Marketing Officer for the Detroit Historical Museum. Rebecca, thanks for being with us today.
Oh, always a pleasure. Thanks for having me, Tyler.
Appreciate having you on. We're in the waning days of Teacher Appreciation Month in August, but there's still an ongoing promotion at the Detroit Historical Museum and the Dawson Great Lakes Museum, allowing our educators, those in the classroom and outside the classroom in an educational environment, to get a great experience at these two museums and do some learning themselves outside of the school.
Yeah, you know what? We've been celebrating all August with our Teacher Appreciation Month, but really that's for anybody with a school ID. So whether you're the superintendent or the lunch lady, we want you to come on down to our museums and get a feel for what we've been doing, what we've been up to over the summer, and hopefully maybe pique your interest to bring your school kids back during the school year. School tours are a big deal for us, and we were just thrilled last year that we were able to start having those young voices back in our museum. So that was really fun for us. And we thought we would offer a free month for all of our educators this summer just to get them back in the mood of coming for a great school tour with their classrooms.
Yeah, let's talk about that too, because just in time for school, you are reopening for the first time in 3 years. Your primary exhibit for school kids. Can you tell us about that exhibit, what it's been in the past, and what the
Sure.
Detroit Historical Museum has done now, bringing it back after almost 3 years of it being absent due to COVID?
Yeah, you know what? We closed the Frontiers to Factories exhibit right around the time of COVID, and that's the exhibit that's correlated to our school standards for third and fourth graders. So it's all that great Michigan history for the last few hundred years, and it needed an update. We hadn't updated that exhibit for 25 years, and so it was planned to close it down to do an update and and then COVID hit, and so ended up being closed a whole lot longer than we intended. It's reopening for this school year. It's been renamed. It's now called Origins: Life Where the River Bends, which is it harkens to the name that the First Peoples called this area of our state before the settlers, European settlers, ever arrived. So we're really excited about the name change, about the upgrades. Students will find more technology in the exhibit, a greater breadth of storytelling in the exhibit. So we reach a little bit farther back before even frontier times to tell those stories in the exhibit now. And this is just the first taste. So we're going to be continuing to update that exhibit over the next few years.
We're joined by Rebecca Salminen-Witt. She is the Chief Strategy and Marketing Officer for the Detroit Historical Museum, joining us today on the Megacast. We have a holiday coming up, Labor Day, just a week away, and that's a day where a lot of people take the day off. Of course, the school is off for the day, but that doesn't mean that learning doesn't have to happen on Labor Day for families that want to go down to the Detroit Historical Museum or the Dawson Great Lakes Museum and have a learning experience with their family. Tell us about your Labor Day hours and some special things going on this holiday.
Well, we're really excited because usually Labor Day, the museums are closed. And this year, the Dawson Great Lakes Museum is going to be open to visitors with special holiday hours. So from 1 to 5 on Labor Day, you're going to be able to visit the Dawson Great Lakes Museum, and it's free for everybody. So we've got a really great exhibit in there right now. It's been in there since this winter. It's called Maritime Miniatures, and it's the art of the ship model. And so we filled that museum with 150 of our ship models of Great Lakes ships. So folks will be able to come in, see the ship models, and I'm telling you, that has been such an exciting and really popular exhibit with folks that we've extended it. So we wanted to extend the exhibit, but we also wanted to make it free, so as many people as possible could come and enjoy the Dawson Great Lakes Museum on Labor Day.
One of the absolute favorites of history lovers in the state of Michigan are those car lovers. And while the Woodward Dream Cruise is in our rearview mirror at this point, that doesn't mean the love of cars, of classic cars and motor vehicle history here in Michigan is over. There's actually a fun event coming up in September through your organization for all those car lovers out there. Tell us about that event.
I'll tell you what, we have our Motor City, America's Motor City exhibit is really a favorite of car lovers because it talks about the place that the automotive industry played in the history of Detroit. And it's just a really fun, it's a beautiful exhibit. So that's one of our permanent exhibits. You can come and see that all year round. But September, as a lot of folks knows, we've got a couple of big other car things happen. One of them is the Concours d'Elegance, and it's happening right across the street from the Detroit Historical Museum at the Detroit Institute of Arts. And we just thought, man, with 4,000 or 5,000 car lovers over there, we know that we've got an audience of folks, we know what they love, and we really wanted to bring out a few special items from our collection. Detroit Historical Society has a collection of about 300,000 artifacts. Now, obviously, not all of those are cars, but we do have 70 or 80 really special vehicles that kind of give you the real slice of Detroit life. So our car collection that's a real Detroiters car collection. What you're going to see at the concourse, really big fancy cars, but not something that you or me or our mom back in 1980 might have been driving. That's what's in our car collection. So we're going to pull out a couple of those things, put those on display. But we're also going to work with some of the local car clubs in the area and bring out a really fun car show of 50s and 60s cars. We'll probably have some music on site. There'll be some food trucks on site, just a really fun family day. So if you're coming out to the concourse, make sure you stop across the street at the Historical Museum. If you're not coming into the concourse, come to our museum and get a real slice of Detroit car history because we've really got it all on display there. It's another day. It's going to be free for anybody who wants to come and absorb some of those awesome cars in our parking lots.
We're joined by Rebecca Salminen-Witt, the Chief Strategy and Marketing Officer for the Detroit Historical Museum, joining us on today's edition of the Megacast. More information can be found on DetroitHistorical.org. That is DetroitHistorical.org for information on programs now and upcoming in the future, and to find all the info you need on both the Detroit Historical Museum as well as the Dawson Great Lakes Museum. DetroitHistorical.org. And upcoming in October, you have a really great new exhibit that's going to be opening at the Detroit Historical Museum, kind of giving some recognition to people that aren't going and getting recognized quite for their due contributions to our local area. You're going to have a new program called The Hustle, a celebration of Detroit's unsung entrepreneurs. Tell us about this program, when it begins, and why this now.
Well, you know what? So at the Historical Society, one of our main things is to get more people in the museum on a consistent basis. So we're constantly looking for groups of folks who might not always come and see us and trying to put stuff in the museum that's going to make your visitors and all the visitors from around this region really want to come to our museum. And one of the ways to do that, we really know, is to put stuff in the museum that speaks to their personal experience. So a couple of years ago, we had this idea, and actually it was one of our trustees' idea. We have this great guy, Mark Bland. He's a trustee for us, works in the automotive industry, and he had this idea to dig down deep into the history of Detroit's neighborhoods. Find people who have kind of those entrepreneurs who make the neighborhoods run, right? So we're not talking about folks who own the big fancy companies that we all hear about, though, the Dan Gilbert level of entrepreneurs, who certainly is a star in our community. But we're talking about those folks who might want to be a Dan Gilbert one day, who just, they're down there, they've got their side hustle, they're figuring out a way to make ends meet, using their entrepreneurial skills. And these are your plumbers, your hairdressers, your barbers, the DJs that we all know. And so we started this program really to celebrate them, to make sure that they got their time to shine in a museum exhibit. And that project kicked off actually in April with a series of nominations. Got 800 nominations in. So this really great dynamic group of entrepreneurs, and we selected 36 of them that will be featured in a quarterly series of exhibits, and the very first one of those will be on our October 8th. So we're just really excited about the program. It's going to be this program is going to involve public programming, some school programs. There's a bunch of celebrations, there are open houses, and this really amazing quarterly series of exhibits, again starting off October 8th, but then quarterly for a whole year. So the hustle is going to go all the way through the end of 2023. Lots of opportunities for your folks to come down to the museum and get a real slice of entrepreneurial life in Detroit.
All that information, DetroitHistorical.org is their website. Find out info on this program, The Hustle, a celebration of Detroit's unsung entrepreneurs, and other programs happening at the Detroit Historical Museum, as well as the Dawson Great Lakes Museum. We're joined by Rebecca Salminen-Witt, the Chief Strategy and Marketing Officer for the Detroit Historical Museum. Rebecca, another minute or so before we'll let you go today. Anything else we should be keeping an eye out for in the near future from the Detroit Historical Museum?
Well, one more free day to tell folks about. September 11th this year is National Grandparents' Day. So we've planned some special stuff in both of our museums. We'd love to have grandparents and their grandkids come on in. Again, that's going to be a free afternoon. That's a Sunday, so 1 to 5 open. And we've got coloring and some tours planned and just a whole bunch of really fun things for grandparents and their grandkids. So I hope we'll see a bunch of folks on September 11th as well.
Rebecca, we appreciate your time. Thank you for joining us today.
My pleasure. Thank you.